this is Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. This is part 2 of how to solder together a gorgeous rosette ring. So Lori made this beautiful, what do we got, a nice little oval here, and she filed a little flat on top, okay? So we're gonna put that together with the top rosette. But because of the shape of the rosette, you know, it doesn't sort of conform to the shape of the ring all that well. So what I usually do for something like this, which I usually don't do until this stage because I don't know how big your ring is gonna be, you know, we're gonna take a dap with sort of that same curve, and we're gonna take a dowel and we're gonna kind of snuggle that rosette down a bit so that it's not that it's gonna touch everywhere on the ring shank, but it will follow the shape much more beautifully. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So if you can kind of see what I'm talking about, I don't really want that up there just like super high up. We're gonna put a little curve in there so that it snuggles in a little better. Okay, so the key to trying to get kind of the right shape is to get a dap that has about the same size as the ring shank itself so that it can kind of curve down and fit a little better. So let me show you what I did. You see how I picked a dap that is basically the size of our ring shank?
Can you move it out so we can see?
Can you see it? Like so, like so, like so. So I'm gonna put this right in the middle so that it rests on the screw, so that hopefully it doesn't move around too much. Because if I use this to curve this down a little bit, now I'm not gonna take this and like curve it all the way down because that would be crazy, but I can, hold on for some product placement. So I'm gonna use my Jewelry Arts brand dowels to take this and lean this on here. Now, when you're doing, like, I work in high carat gold a lot. If you work in softer materials, you're gonna use the dowels a lot because you need to do things that you can move the metal without leaving like a real oogie mark, you know? Because like, I don't wanna clean this up. You can't get in there and file and sand and everything or you're gonna ruin your shape. So you see how I'm just taking it in like press, 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 press. Because I'm not trying to make a sharp bend. I'm just trying to get more of a curve, so that it doesn't stick out quite as much. This goes under the definition basically of like finessing it. You know, you can't like put this in something and like smack it with a hammer. As fun as that would be. You'd hear Lori like having a seizure off camera. Hammer, no. And also the fact of the matter is, now, do we want anything to pop off here? Of course we don't. But guess what? If for some reason anything is gonna give, you want it to happen now where you can just like, oh, no big deal, stick another piece of solder in there or whatever. So, because basically the more things that are all soldered together, the more aggravating it is to try to fix it if you have an issue. So you wanna normally really feel very confident of your components before you put everything together. Okay, so I'm not done yet, but you see how now I have much more of a nice curve. Because the thing of it is too, I don't want these petals to end up looking weird. So I don't want to take it and like do like a really sudden thing. I'm just, you know, gradually bringing it in. You know, if you have like a wood dapping block, you could kind of do that, but it's a little hard when you have this top section. You'd have to like create a little clearance for that. So for me, I think this is the easiest way of doing it, just by hand. Okay, so let's take a look now and see how we feel about it. I'll probably do some more. But you see how now it's sort of following the shape better. And we can also do like a little, oh, look, it almost fits me. How cool. If I take that now, look how that now looks on my finger, right? So honestly, I may do a hair more, but that's about it. But it doesn't need a lot. It just needs to look like it's following those curves, you know? A lot of times you have to remember, it's the little things you do, the little adjustments on the way that make the piece really sing. You know, it's the details. Basically, when you make jewelry, you can't be OCD enough. Okay. So you see now how this sort of follows the finger and just, you know, it looks all fantastic. So then the only other thing we're gonna do before we solder the ring shank on is mark where we want what. You know what I'm saying? Like, what petals do you want where? So basically, I'm gonna put this on Lori's hand and we're gonna screw around with it a little bit and we're just gonna mark it with a Sharpie just so that we know where we want that to hit. Okay. So you see, we've laid it out on Lori's hand and she wants it to lay like this. So I just took a ruler and I'm putting, I mean, this is not super high precision, but basically then I can convert these marks to the back and know exactly how to align the shank. So take a look at what we've done. The marks that I put on the front, you know, I transposed to the back so that we could see in what direction to line up our ring so you know that it'll lay beautifully on your hand. I got it in position. We all looked at it 50 or 60 times, moved it 70 times, and now we all are like, yes, this is good. So I'm gonna put a little paste flux on there and dry. I'm gonna put a ball or two of solder. We're gonna use 18 soft. I'm gonna, and there you go. My favorite position with the torch. So I put some flux there. I've got 2 balls of solder. You know, I'm gonna heat it a little bit so it settles in place so that the little solder balls are right next to the shank. Because, you know, those little, that's why I always have my tweezers, because things love to move around like that. Let me turn the heat up a little bit. And this is just pretty much like your normal, you know, operating procedure. And you notice I set this up in a magnesia block, a soft block, so that I could have a depression underneath there. And basically, just like with most, you just need to heat both. You see that? And it flowed. Yeah, you know that's right. Okay? So I'm gonna move out of the way and let you do a little close up there of that. And then I'm gonna look at it, maybe I'll add another piece, I'm not quite sure. Take a look. Because always, if I'm gonna add another piece, I would wanna do it right now. Because once you move something, it's always a little trickier to get it back in the exact same position and whatever. So unless I am truly desperate to pickle, which I very rarely am, I would always rather add more while everything is still in the same spot. Because you know, you go to set it up again, something moves by 1 degree and it slips and you're like, so you don't want that. So you see that? That's a close-up of that seam all filled in, all hot and juicy. So we're gonna let it cool and pickle it and take a good look, but I am 99.7% sure that we are completely done. So look at this ring. I can't stand it. It's too beautiful. So for me, you can just leave it just the way it is, but I think I'm gonna throw it in the magnetic tumbler to get into every little cranny and just make sure everything's super tidy. And then we can decide, do we wanna leave it a little shinier, or we can take the shine down a little bit, but it looks absolutely fucking fantastic.